The case study 1 over here is listed, which says it is related to the volatility and risk, and it says bank ABC is engaged in 3 business lines, namely lending, investments and remittances. So there are 3 business lines for bank ABC, and further the information related to the operating profits for these 3 business lines is given as under. So it is given as under. So these are basically the business lines, that is lending, investment and remittance, and against them the operating profits are given for the different years 2018, 2019 and 2020. Okay, so based upon the above we need to calculate the mean, and also we need to find out that which of the business line is the most volatile and which of the following is the least volatile, and further which is having the highest risk associated with it. Okay, so that can be done if we will be calculating the volatility. So I told you that volatility is related to what? Volatility is the dispersion of the variable around the mean value. Dispersion of the variable around the mean value, that is a standard deviation that we need to calculate. So in this particular question also we will be doing the same, that we will be solving the standard deviation. So what is volatility actually? It is the standard deviation itself. If you remember from the previous lecture itself, that is a volatility is equal to standard deviation, and standard deviation is equal to the under root of square root of the variance. That is the formula related to it. That is the formula related to it. Is it clear? And now you can calculate the variance too. You need to basically, for each and every term, you will be subtracting it, you will be subtracting the mean value from it. So it will be x1 minus mu. Let us take the mu as the mean, and square of it, then x2 minus mu and square root and so on, divided by the number of terms n, and that would be basically related to the variance that we need to calculate. So first of all we will be calculating the mean value over here. We will be calculating the mean value over here. So we are provided with the means, we are provided with what? We are provided with the means over here. We are provided with the different operating profits over the years for the different 3 business lines over there. So we will be calculating the mean value over here first of all. Okay, so now we are provided with the data in a horizontal format. So we will be calculating the mean as such. Okay, so it will be 200 plus 310 plus 190, that is equal to 700. So it will be 700 divided by 3. So mean for this term would be equal to 700 divided by 3, and for this particular part it would be equal to 150 plus 160. So for L, let us say for lending, it is basically equal to what? It is equal to 700 divided by 3, and further for investment it is 150 plus 160 plus 230, and further it is a 540 divided by 3. And in the case of remittance it is 50 plus 55 plus 65, that comes out to be 170 divided by 3. So that is the mean value related to it that we have calculated so far. So it is 170 divided by 3, that comes out to be 55.66, it is 170 divided by 3, so it is 56.66. and further for 540 divided by 3, so it will be 540 divided by 3, that is equal to the 180. And further for 700 divided by 3, it will be equal to the 233.33. So that is a mean value over here. That is a mean value we are having right now. And further we need to solve the further. Relatively we will be calculating the standard deviation, and for that we need to calculate the variance first of all. Okay, so I'll be solving one part for you and you will be solving the others too. So let us take the case over here that L over here, it will be equal to 200 minus 233.33. So that will be equal to 33.33 minus 33.33, because it is 200 minus 233.33. So square of that, plus it will be 310 minus 233.33. It will be 310 minus 233.33, that is equal to 76.67 square. And further the third term, it would be equal to 190 minus 233.33, that is equal to 43.33, that is minus 43.33, and square of that, and divided by n. So it will be 33.33 multiplied by 33.33, that is equal to 1100 plus 76.67 multiplied by 76.67, that is equal to 5878. 5878.28 plus 43.33 multiplied by 43.33, that comes out to be 1877.4 divided by 3. So we will be adding them up. So it will be 1877.48 plus 5878.28 plus 1110 and further divided by 3. So there it comes out to be, the variance comes out to be 2955. So the variance over here we calculated in this particular part, it is 2955 and the under root of that. So in first case we are getting the standard deviation to be 54.36. We are getting the standard deviation. I'm writing it over here because there is some issue related to the reflection, so I'm writing it over here. So it is 54.36 in this particular case. It is 54.36 in this particular case, and now we need to calculate it is in the same manner for the other two. So it will be, for the second case, it will be 180 is the mean over there. So it will be 150 minus 180, that is equal to minus 30 square, plus 180 minus 160 minus 180, that will be minus 20 square, and further 230 minus 180, that will be 50 square, and divided by 3. So that will be the mean. So 30 into 30, that is equal to 900 plus 400 plus 2500, that is 3800 divided by 3, that comes a variance. So the variance in this particular case, it is 1266.68, so the square root of that, and in this particular case the variance comes the standard deviation comes out to be 35.59. okay, we need to calculate it for the third one now, where the first part it would be 50 minus 56.66, so it will be minus 6.66 square, plus it will be 55 minus 56.66, so it will be 1.66 square, plus it would be 65 minus 65 minus 56.66, that is equal to 8.34 square, 8.34 square, and divided by 3. So 8.34 into 8.34, it comes out to be 69.55 plus 1.66 multiplied by 1.66, it is 2. I know the calculations are quite lengthier over in this case, but you need to do so because you are to basically solve it. Only in that case you will be getting the marks over there now. So it will be 44.35 divided by 3. So just adding them up. So 44.355 plus 2.75 plus 69.55, that comes out to be 116.65 divided by 3, that comes out to be 38.88. so that comes out with a variance in this particular case, and further the under root of this would be 6.2, it would be 6.235. so kindly please let me know if you have got these answers or not. So kindly please do answer if you are getting these answers or not, or is there any variation in this particular part. Okay, so the standard deviation now we have calculated. Now if you remember when we basically calculated when we were to compare the different lines, what we did actually, we divided it by the mean. So we basically calculated what? We calculated the standard deviation divided by the mean. We did what? We calculated the standard deviation divided by the mean. So that is what we'll be doing in this particular case. So it will be, we will be calculating now standard deviation divided by the mean value. Okay, so now this particular point itself, that is the standard deviation, is the volatility. Now you can let me know which of the following is having the highest volatility, and further which of the following is having the lowest volatility, because it is quite clear now. In the case of the lending, the standard deviation is much higher than the other two. So we can say that in the case of the dispersion, in the case of the lending, the dispersion is much more volatility, that is the variation is much higher as compared to the investment and remittance. Okay, so we can say this is most volatile. And we can also infer the same related to, because the standard deviation in the third one, that is related to the remittance, it is the lowest. So we can say it is the least volatile. So high volatility means higher risk. So we can say in the case of the lending, we are having the highest risk associated with it. Okay, so we can simply infer now. So you need not to calculate the standard deviation divided mean actually. Okay, so that is how we can solve the questions based upon this. Okay, so it will not be covered in one single question. It will be covered in three different questions, like which of the following is having the highest volatility, which of the following is having the least volatility, and further which business line is having the highest risk associated with it. Okay, so we basically need to answer accordingly over there. Is that clear? Okay, so that is related to this particular case study. Now let us solve the another one, which is based upon the value at risk. So value at risk is basically type of criteria that we can calculate. So value at risk is a methodology by which we can calculate the downside potential, if you remember. So in the case of volatility, we basically do have the upside potential and also the downside potential. We are having the upside potential and also the downside potential, but because we are to quantify the risks only, so we will not be looking at the upside potential. We will be basically focusing on the downside potential only. So we can basically calculate the uncertainty, but the probability that of the occurrence is to be calculated, and further that can be done by using the Z table values. So I'll be just letting you know that how we basically use the value at risk, how we basically calculate the value at risk. Okay, so now let us have a look at the case study that is related to the value at risk. So based on the previous 60 days trading data, the following information is available. That is, volatility per day is given to be 2%, and it is assuming 252 days in an year. And for the number of observation days is 10, and for the confidence level is 99%. Investment amount is 60,000. And further, we need to calculate the VAR, that is value at risk, for 10 days and 30 days period. So if you remember that, what does the volatility means? Volatility is basically equal to the standard deviation. So we can say the volatility is basically what? It is the standard deviation. And further, when we say standard deviation per day, it is given to be 2%. So 2% of what? 2% of the invested amount. 2% of the invested amount, which is rupees 60,000. So the investment amount is rupees 60,000. Okay, so what would be the volatility? 2% of the 60,000, that is equal to 1200, if I'm not wrong. It is equal to 1200. So it means what? It means there is a dispersion of around 1200. There is dispersion of around 1200 around the mean value. That is basically related to volatility of the single day. Okay, and further also, when we were to calculate the volatility over the different time horizon, that was also possible. If you remember that we have the formula related to that, that is related to volatility, that is a standard deviation over a time horizon. Volatility, the formula was volatility over a time horizon. Okay, that will be equal to what? That will be equal to the daily volatility that we calculated above, that is equal to 1200, and multiplied by the square root of the time horizon, for which we need to calculate the volatility itself. Okay, so here we need to calculate the volatility first of all for the 10 days period. So it will be daily volatility, we calculated it to be 1200, that is 2% of 60,000, that is the invested amount, multiplied by the under root of 10. So here we can calculate the volatility for the 10-day period. That will be equal to 10 under root multiplied by 1200, and it comes out to be 3794. 3794.73. Okay, so that is related to what? That you calculated the volatility. But in the case of VAR, if you remember, there are two factors. First of all, we need to calculate the uncertainty. So we calculated the uncertainty amount. Okay, and second factor, it was related to probability of occurrence. Which we can predict by using the Z table, So we will be looking at the different values of the Z table, because the confidence level over here is given to be 99%. What does it mean? If we say the confidence level is 99%, it means for the 99% of the times there will be basically no events of risk. And further, only and only for the 1% of the time there will be event of risk. And for that particular purpose, we predict the value. we predict the value, and further we get the value at the risk which is available over there, which will be basically affected over there. So that is a case related to that. Okay, so in this particular case we are considering the confidence level to be 99%. For this confidence level of 99%, we will be looking at the Z table value. We'll be looking at the Z table value. So let us have a look at the Z table value over here. So we are having the Z table, and in the case of the exams, you need to memorize some of the common used Z table values, that is 99.99%, that is 90%, 95.5%. so these are commonly asked values in the questions itself. Okay, so over here we need to get the 99% value. So just look at the 0.99 value only. So over here it goes to 0.91, then 93, 94, 95, 96, 98, 93. So we will be just moving on in this line particularly. So it comes out to be 0.9901 in this particular case. So it means it is having the probability of 99% over here in this value. So it comes out to be 2.3. So it is 2.3, and further we will be looking at this is the fourth line over here. So we will be looking at this particular line over here. So it comes out to be 0.03. So it will be 2.33 value. So the Z table for the 99% of the value, the Z table value is 2.33. It is 2.33. So if we now need to calculate the VAR, how we can calculate it? We simply need to multiply the volatility over the time horizon with the Z table value. So it is basically 3794 minus 0.73 multiplied by 2.33. So it gives us the value equal to 8841.72. So this is the value that would be at risk. If we basically considering it for the confidence level of 99%. If we considering it for a confidence level of 99% for the 10-day of the horizon value, 10 days of the horizon value. Is that clear? That is how we basically calculate the value at risk. So that is how we calculated it for the 10 days. Now you need to calculate it for 30 days also. So you need to calculate it for 30 days also. So there is an exercise for you. So how we can calculate it? We can calculate it in the same manner. So the standard deviation for 30 days over time horizon, it will be equal to daily volatility, that is equal to 2% of 60,000, that is 1200, and multiplied by under root of 30. So 30 under root multiplied by 1200. So it comes out to be 6572. So it comes out to be 6572.67. So this is the volatility value. Okay, and further we need to calculate it for the 99% confidence. We already basically looked at the Z table where we just have the value equal to 2.33. So the Z table value is equal to 2.33 for the 99% confidence level. So over here we will be multiplying 6572.67 multiplied by 2.33 for 99% confidence level. So it will be basically equal to what? It will be equal to 2.33. So it comes out to be 15314.32. Okay, so it means what? It indicates what? It indicates that the value at the risk at any time will be maximally equal to 15,314 over the time horizon period of 30 days if the confidence level is 99%, and it will be that only 1% chances are there, that the value at risk may exceed this particular value, that is 15,314. Otherwise your risk will be contained to the limits of 15,314 only in 99% of the cases. Is that clear? So that is the value at risk. So that is related to the value at risk. I hope that you must have understood this concept as well. So that was related to the downside potential. So now we'll be considering the second unit related to it. So in the examination, you will not be provided with the Z table itself. You need to memorize the Z table values for some of the cases, likewise for 99% of the value, and further for 95.5%, 99.9%, 92%, you need to memorize these particular values from the Z table available, and further those values are to be memorized, to be crammed by you, so that you could use them in the examination itself. And it is not only helpful in the in the BFM exam itself, it is also helpful in the ABM exam. Okay,